Alright, today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 worst movie cliches. Now, if you're new here, Casino, so I've been ringing the bell. So, I think I'm a pretty big fan of movies, and I consider myself a movie critic, because I know some people kind of compare, like, the general audience of moviegoers compared to, like, movie critics. I consider myself a movie critic because, since I've seen a lot of movies, like, I see the cliches that are commonly used, and some of them are actually pretty good. But I'm going to be counting down 10 today that I think suck, and I just want them to not be used anymore. So yeah, let's get started. Number 10 is the main character stutter. So this is kind of weird because, like, this is more of a nitpicky one. I don't really see this one talked about that much, but it's basically when a main character has a love interest, and when they're trying to quote-unquote talk to the love interest, like, they just can't talk all of a sudden. I mean, I know that it's a little bit compared to real life because, like, in real life that you get really nervous around your crush, but come on, man, like, it's really not that hard to talk to somebody. Like, I mean, I know some people have different, like, opinions on that, but honestly, like, they just make it seem like, I call it the main character stutter, because it's just like, when they have a love interest, basically around, like, the first few scenes, they can't talk to him almost at all without stuttering, and it's just like, it feels like it's a little bit of a nitpicky one, but that's just my opinion. I think it's just, every time there's a love interest involved, like, they just can't talk all of a sudden. So, I don't know, I feel like if these cliches happened more in real life or were more accurate, I feel like I wouldn't be as annoyed with them. But yeah, that's number 10. Number 9 is The Chosen One. So, this is kind of a combination between The Chosen One and a prophecy cliche. So it's kind of sad because some of, like, the big name franchises have been accused of using the story, and they have, like Harry Potter with The Boy Who Lived and stuff. But especially with a prophecy that always says you're the chosen one, it's just like every time I hear those words, I kind of groan a little bit. Because that's basically just a way of letting them know that they're great, like, so many times. And it's also kind of a combination with overpowered characters. And for Rey, for example, like, especially in the sequel trilogy, I had a big problem with the quote-unquote chosen one prophecy, because it's just like, when these characters are so overpowered and they almost have no flaws, it's just really annoying. And I feel like another case of that is the Mulan from the Mulan remake. Like, she had no, like, flaws at all. Especially in the original, like, movie, she struggled and she earned her placement. But when she's already born, like, great, and then she has to fight in this war, it doesn't feel as deserved that she's, like, fighting for her life in the new remake. Like, it just doesn't seem right. It just seems like the Chosen One prophecy, it just feels like, I can't wait for a movie that actually comes out that when they use it, it actually turns out to not be true and it's somebody else. That's actually something that I want to see. So yeah, that's number 9. Number 8 is bomb defusal scenes. So, bomb defusal scenes, this mainly happens in action movies, and I'm just so tired of seeing it. Like, it's mainly when a villain has a big plan to blow up something. Protagonist has, like, a few minutes to disarm the bomb, and then they disarm it at the very last second. It's almost like every single time it's a bomb defusal scene, like, they have to do it within 1 second of it exploding. It's just like, if they wanted to make it a little bit more realistic, like, maybe like 10 seconds, but I rarely see that. I usually just see, like, the last few seconds when they disarm it. Like, and it just feels like the amount of time it takes to disarm the bomb compared to the bomb timer itself is very unrealistic. But yeah, that's number 8. Number 7 is the trip. So, the trip is mainly referring to horror movies, and is basically where characters just can't run all of a sudden. So, yeah, this is mainly a horror movie thing, and I actually do like it when some people parody it, like the original Scary Movie. But, like, it just seems like the people who actually put it in the movie to be serious, like, it doesn't make any sense. And especially when they trip on basically nothing. Yeah, I don't really like that cliche, except when it's being made fun of, which I think is, when it's made fun of, it's pretty funny.
And why do white women fall when y'all run? What's that about? White guys are faithful. Your ladies fall. Y'all go back.
But, like, it's just like every time, it's mainly females. Like, they just can't run for their life. And it's just like, it's very weird that they still keep on using it. It's been around for like 40 years, this cliche. But yeah, that's number 7. Number 6 is over-relying on CGI. So this is mainly a problem that I've had with the movie industry in these last like 10 years. Like, there's barely any practical effects in mainstream blockbusters anymore. Like, I feel like the people who still do practical effects are like the smaller independent moviegoers or movie producers. It just feels like there's not really much soul put into these effects anymore. Now, I know there are some exceptions like Christopher Nolan, and he does a lot of practical effects, but I feel like most of the big blockbusters rarely use practical effects anymore. It's just mainly CGI. I'm not completely against CGI, all of it. Like, I think some things can be used really cool with it, but it just feels like we're over-reliant on it, and we don't really have that many like actual like props, like physical props in movies anymore. Sometimes it doesn't seem authentic when people only use CGI for movies. Like, maybe a couple exceptions can be like full like 3D animated movies, but like CGI and like live action movies, we're just using too much of it, man. Like, I just want some soul and blood put back in there. Like, with like puppets and animatronics. I mean, I know that CGI is cheaper, but we obviously know it's not there. Actually, to be fair, like CGI, it can, like, more recently in these big movies, like, they make it very realistic, but we all know it's still CGI. I compare it with the first Jurassic Park film compared to Jurassic World. Like, Jurassic World, I don't think almost has any practical effects in it. And I know that it might be a little bit, like, unfair to compare them because 1993, we really didn't have that much CGI that we could use. I mean, we used it on, like, CGI dinosaurs, but there were certain shots of Jurassic Park where they used actual animatronics. And that's something that I just miss because it felt more real that way. And I just feel like CGI, we're so over-reliant on it. I'm not against CGI, all of it, but I just think it's a little over-reliant on it. So yeah, that's number 6. Number 5 is The Bully. So, The Bully, I hate almost any character that is a bully in TV shows and movies. Like, usually, the bully is kind of like a plot device to, like, direct the plot forward. And it would be a little bit different if these bullies have personality, but most of them don't even have almost any personality. And I feel like a lot of Adam Sandler movies do that, where like they have this main bully that's like the big executive of a company. The only ones I seen like actually work are like Nelson from The Simpsons. And I actually think he's a pretty good bully. The main bully character of a movie, it just seems like they have no point to be there except to drive the plot forward. Nelson is probably a good example where like he knows he's like this like common stereotype. But yeah, that's number 5. It's just the bully. I just feel like they need to make better bully characters. Number 4 is the jump scare. Guys, jump scares are just done. Like, it just feels like, mainly in the 2010s, it feels like jump scares have really started to become a big, overblown fiasco, because it just seems like when a horror movie obviously has no creativity whatsoever to scare its audience, jump scares are used. Now, not to say that there are good movies that don't use jump scares, but most of the good movies that are like really scary, they don't really use that many jump scares. Like, it just seems like jump scares are such a cheap way to scare people, and I think it's starting to kind of die down a little bit, but there are some directors that still think that jump scares are like the main way to scare people. If I want to be really scared, my opinion is unsettling imagery, something like that. But it just seems like jump scares, especially when they have no build-up and they just kind of happen, like, even with the build-up, it just seems like it's so overdone, and we just need to find better ways to scare people. So yeah, that's number 4. Number 3 is forgiving the villain. So this is mainly a thing in kids' movies, like, especially with the villain that has done so much terrible stuff, and they just forgive him. And it's so stupid because, like, there used to be a time where, in mainly kids' movies, that villains actually got what they deserved, or they just died. Like, it's kind of like a thing mainly with Disney and Pixar. Like, when Disney and Pixar used to do villains, mainly Disney, like, Disney villains used to be so good, and then it actually, like, we love to hate them. And it just seems like people who forgive the villain, that's mainly like a kids movie thing. But like, the villains in Disney used to be so good, and then now I can't remember half of the modern quote-unquote twist villains. But yeah, like, forgiving the villain is just so stupid, because especially after this person has done so much harm to the main character, it just doesn't make any sense. And it's also kind of a subcategory of just like villains in general, like in kids movies, have just really not been good. Like, I mean, I know that some people say that like in the older times with Disney, like they sometimes focus more on the villain, especially with the twist villains that they have done recently. Actually, I think it's starting to die down a little bit. But like, the villains have obviously have no character, and the ones that do, we hate them. Yeah, that's number 3. It's just like forgiving the villain and just like twist villains in general. So yeah, that's number 3. Number 2 is a misunderstanding. So this is also another big thing in kids movies. So if a character or a group of characters, like, they find that like they don't agree on something, they just go to their separate corners and just mope throughout 10 to 20 minutes of the movie. I hate this. Like, it's just like, it basically just stops the movie, and it's just like when they try to have like drama, especially in like relationship movies, they don't really have a good way to create drama, so they just have this big misunderstanding. They mainly kids movies, but if it's like a romance movie, the couple has a big fight, they go their separate ways, and they just mope and cry, wah, 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 wah. I hate this cliche. When the climax happens, like, they usually have to convince the other person to like join them or something like that again. It just feels like the misunderstanding is such a dumb way to do drama. Like I said earlier, if these cliches happen more in real life, I feel like maybe they would work, but it just feels like with the misunderstanding, like it's just there to create drama, nothing else. So yeah, that's number 2. Number 1 is the liar revealed. This is my all-time least favorite cliche. Like, oh my god, I hate this cliche. So basically, the liar revealed is when the main character lies about who he or she really is, which actually that could be used for good comedy. But you always have that scene almost at the end of the movie where the characters find out who this character really is and they don't trust him anymore. Kids movies mostly do this, kind of like the misunderstanding. But the liar reveal is just 10 times worse, because even when there's a bunch of funny jokes going on with this plot, you already know what's gonna happen most of the time. The characters find out who he or she really is, and they were lying about it. It just feels like so many like films that obviously have no creativity on their plot have to use this. And even like movies, like live action movies, use this. But it mainly bothers me in kids movies, because especially when like people throw around that cliche saying, oh, it's just a kids movie. Kids movies deserve good entertainment too. That's also a cliche or an excuse that I hate, where they just excuse bad kids movies because it's just for kids. So you're basically just saying that kids don't deserve good entertainment. I've always hated that excuse. But yeah, Liar Revealed, one of the least favorite examples of the Liar Revealed story is Shark Tale. It's sad because Shark Tale, I actually used to really like this movie when I was younger. But now I realize that Oscar is just a jerk. You already don't like this character before he lies about killing the shark. It just, oh my god, like, and also Oscar in Shark Tale is one of the least likable protagonists in a film ever. Like, even like just in general, like I just don't like him. But yeah, so that's probably my least favorite example of the liar reveal, because he just obviously has no repercussions from it. And like, he obviously doesn't learn his lesson. But yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching. I know this might sound a little bit more ranty than usual, but I kind of wanted to talk about these today because I'm a big fan of film. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.